Hello again, Struck. Today I'm bringing you another build video for Torchlight 3's early access phase, and this one is for the Forged class, the little robot that some of you might like. So this build I've decided to call Fracking Shotgonne Forged Build, and as you guessed it, it's using Fracking Strike and Shotgun Blast. Again, the Forged is kind of on the weaker side of the damage, and it might have some problems with survivability at times, but with this build I'm pretty happy where it's going, and that's without me getting the needed synergy items, which would be the Mega Blaster that could give us every 6, 7 or 9 seconds up to 900% extra damage on Shotgun Blast as long as we charge it with Rapid Fire. You're seeing footage without me using Rapid Fire, but when I do get this item and when I do get the Mountain Hatch, the Mountain King Hatch, which allows us to auto-cast Sonic Pulse, meaning we can remove it from our skill bar, and every time we use our Relic active skill we would be able to cast Sonic Pulse when we have 3 Mountain King pieces. You would really need the Mountain King chest, helmet and hatch, ideally, to squeeze the most out of your skill points on a build from both skill trees. So those would be 3 necessary pieces. The Mega Blaster is a nice cannon, Destro Repeater is another nice cannon, Egg of Wonder is a good synergy for the build, which I wasn't using right now, but eventually I probably would start using. I was just experimenting with some stuff. The build is good, it does okay damage, it's not your meta build on a mage or a sharpshooter, but it definitely can do decent damage. It can do bosses, not as fast as the other classes, but again, that's without me using a Mega Blaster, and until I get that cannon I'm not gonna be able to say whether this class is that much weaker than the others. So let's wait until we are all 60 and have the best items in spots for specific builds to see if it's worth it. Let's show you the skills first. So the skills for this setup are kind of interestingly set up, because first I've got items that give me +1 and +2 to barrage and bro skills. So you may not have those immediately, and until you find them you might want to sacrifice levels in certain skills. First off, Cold Launch needs to be level 6 for the 25% damage to burning enemies, and this one needs to be level 6 for the 25% damage to burning enemies. Those you can sacrifice at first. Eventually, once you have enough skill points, you can rework your skills to make them level 4 with the bonus 2 levels to be level 6. Until then, probably stay away from those. You're not gonna do as much damage, but at least you're gonna have all the core important skills leveled up. So those may not be considered core important skills, but they are still decent, especially that extra damage that they allow you to do. Sonic Pulse, you want that to level 6 only if you will be spamming your Relic active skill a lot. Only if you decide to have a lot of Relic active skill going on. And speaking of Relic active skill, this class is the only one that can get 40% Relic active skill damage. This one, together with the 50% when leveling up your Relic here, can give you a total of 90% of the damage that the Relic gets by itself, the Relic active skill gets by itself. So that's why I suggest 6 points into Ramming Robot, and eventually Fracking Strike for level 35 you would want 4 points into it, which equals to 6 with the set, or 6 points without the set, but eventually you would want that at level 10. Eventually, not right away. And this one you probably would want at level 10, eventually at level 60, but not right away. This one you can do 1 + 2, or you can have 3 points inside it if you don't have the set. And Rapid Fire, this one you want at least level 6, but ideally later on you would max it out. For Shotgun Blast, you can see I've maxed it out to level 10 with the 2 bonus levels, so I've got 8 points invested. That's gonna be my main source of damage. If I find an item called Mega Blaster, what I would do with that item is I would have to use Rapid Fire to build charges. Every 3 seconds I build a charge, when hitting with rapid fire. If I build 3 charges for 9 seconds, I can unleash a 900% damage more shotgun blast, which would be amazing, stacking with this 50% damage to burning enemies. You can do it other way. You can do it, build up a charge for 300%, unleash it, build up a charge for 300%, then unleash it. Right now I'm not using rapid fire. If I need to, I could remove the relic active skill or remove Sonic Pulse and get an item that allows me to auto cast Sonic Pulse. More about items later, but I'm gonna quickly show you this item so you can see which one it is. It's the where did that item go for Sonic Pulse? See this one, Mountain King's Hatch. Cast your relic skill, 50% chance to also cast Sonic Pulse. And if you have the set, it's 100% chance, meaning every time you use your relic skill, you would be casting Sonic Pulse, so you can add rapid fire into your setup and remove Sonic Pulse as long as you have 2 more pieces of the Mountain King. Right now I'm using 3 pieces of the Mountain King, which are the chest, the helmet and the pauldrons. You can probably use chest, helmet and hatch. And then get the other 3 in the shoulder, the gauntlets and the tentacle being the skittering one. If you feel like it, or something else, entirely up to you. More about gear later though. So that's kind of it for the skills though. As you can see, it's pretty straightforward. I've got 24 barrage, 11 bro, but it would look differently if you don't have those legendary items that give you +2 barrage and +2 bro skills. So try to get them, try to get the Mountain King helmet and cuirass. Hopefully it's clear why we're taking each skill. This is our main source of damage, it knocks back the enemies. This is our secondary source of damage and venting skill. I do prefer it because this has AoE Kono range, and this is AoE Kono range as well. They go well together, and this one has very good animation for venting. Now let's talk about quickly about the relics and the pets, starting with the pets. For the pets, it's pretty straightforward. Someone mentioned that they can get Necropupper, but I'm yet to meet a person that has gotten Vampirism and Running Partner after the early access, so those seem to be dropping super rare. And this one is definitely dropping, but it's rare, but people say that it doesn't spawn the skeletons, even though they are using that skill. What I would suggest is try to get deadlier strikes if you need crit chance, or if you don't need crit chance, go for block or defense, or running partner if you actually have it. Healing friendship is for me a must-have skill to keep you healed every now and then. And I like the screeching stun. You might wanna use screeching stun if you don't have it. Immobilize is not that bad of a idea to implement, and you have to decide, do you want more damage or do you want more defense damage resistance. It's up to you. It's pretty clear, I guess. There's not that much choice here yet. Maybe later on we'll have more choices, but for now the choices are small and most people probably use the crit chance aura. Now let's show you the relics. For the relics, I prefer using the electrode, because I'm just going for a build where I'm gonna be proccing Whitening Strikes as much as I can as I'm doing Shotgun Blast, and that's gonna be doing a lot of damage. I didn't go for the stun chance, and I think it's not that good of a synergy to go for stun chance, so probably I'm gonna go for 10 points here first, 10 points here first, 10 points here first, and then I'm gonna go there. So let's say number 1 is getting this cooldown, I guess, when you're leveling up. Number 2 is getting this extra damage when you are leveling up. Then number 3 is getting this damage when leveling up, and then eventually maybe moving on to getting chance and damage for the shock bolts. Or if you have good relic cooldown, you can even invest into this. It's up to you. Alternatively, you can go for the Flaming Destroyer. The Flaming Destroyer would help you burn enemies to trigger this extra 50 total damage versus burning enemies. So consider a Flaming Destroyer. It's gonna be great addition if you get it. And if you do get the Flaming Destroyer, let's quickly tell you which skills you might want on it. First, I'm gonna suggest the cooldown again, so we can burn the enemies more often. Second, I'm probably gonna suggest Lingering Blaze. for extra damage, or this one of those two, second and third, decide which one. Then eventually you would want chance for Firestorm. It's gonna be nice, it's gonna be great, and then maybe damage for Firestorm. Again, I'm gonna suggest not using Fear of Flames because it's, well, at least last time I checked it a few days ago, it was still broken. So avoid it until it's fixed. Or if you're activating more often, you can even go for those, but that's kind of optional, I guess. So yeah, that's it for those relics. If you want, feel free to use other relics, entirely up to you, but the relic I do suggest is either the Electrode or the Flaming Destroyer, or maybe even a Bane won't be bad if you're going for a spammy build here. So let's move on to the gear segment. So for the items, there are certain things I want to mention that are great. One of them would be damage with barrage skills. This is amazing bonus damage to the build. If you have multiple sources of this, that's gonna bump your damage by a lot. Then next, I really wanna stress how important it is to have chance to burn if you're using the 50% extra damage to burning. You want it on the main hand weapon, regardless whether it's one-handed or two-handed, or on the cannon. If you don't have it on the main hand and you're using an offhand like a shield or a focus item, you would want that there as well. You can see something that I've got without the shield 38% block chance, meaning I can afford using a two-handed sword, or I can use something like this if only it wasn't wife bound. But I don't think heat dissipation is great for this build because you want to be building the heat more often, so you can be using Fracking Strike more often. If you feel like you don't want to be using Fracking Strike more often, then that's fine, then use maybe some heat dissipation, entirely up to you. But ideally you want to be enchanting items for chance to burn. I've just been unlucky this weapon. I probably enchanted and disenchanted over 10 times and I still can't get the chance to burn. So yeah, use something that gives you chance to burn. Ideally it would be on the cannon, but if you can't get it on the cannon, try to get it on whatever else you're using as a one-handed or two-handed or offhand. So something that I think is a must-have in the lower levels, not as useful at level 60, would be the +2 barrage skills and the +2 brawl skills for a 3-piece Mountain King setup. The POW drones I wouldn't suggest having. I would suggest having the hatch. I think the tentacles are bugged because they don't give me heat. You can see it's supposed to give me heat when I do 50 heat vent. It doesn't give me any. Even if I go for max heat, which would be like 100, bam, it doesn't return much. It only vented 50, didn't return 50. But when this item is fixed, that would mean whenever you cast a Fracking Strike, you're getting 50% heat back. So consider this as an option. But ideally right now you're probably gonna have Mountain King Helmet, Cuirass and Hatch, which looks like this, to allow you to remove Sonic Pulse from your setup and use that Sonic Pulse when using your Relic Active skill. So it's gonna be amazing when you have that synergy. So that's the hatch. You want it, it's great, and it's gonna allow you to use rapid fire, and we want rapid fire because we want to be using the Mega Blaster. The Mega Blaster allows us to build charges. So you're shooting with rapid fire, and once every 3 seconds you get a rapid fire charge. So you do it once and then you have to wait another 3 seconds. You do it second time after 3 seconds, you gotta wait another 3 seconds. So let's say within 9 seconds, the first thing would be it would take 6 or 7 seconds for the first one to build up, but for the other ones after that it's gonna be every 9 seconds. So let's say every 7 seconds roughly, but it could end up being every 9 seconds if you keep spamming it. But yeah, you need like 7 seconds to get the first one to proc with maxed out charges. Then you use Shotgun Blast and you unleash those 3 charges to do 900 weapon damage. Alternatively, you can just do it once every 3 seconds. Use rapid fire once every 3 seconds and unleash shotgun blast for 300 more damage. That's also not a bad idea, instead of waiting for the 3 charges, but I really wanna see someone with the Mega Blaster using this setup and telling me how much damage they can do at a certain level. So, apart from that, there are certain things I would not recommend, because first, if you're using Fracking Strike, you're never gonna get the bonus of mounting King Gauntlet, so avoid using that. And if you're using the rapid fire, you might as well consider putting an extra repeater, so that you can do a little bit more damage with it. It's completely optional, but it's not that bad, from 13 to 20 stacks. I still think this needs to be 30 stacks, maybe even more, maybe 40 stacks, if they don't boost rapid fire by itself. So there is this thing. Another thing that's pretty good would be probably to go for the skittering set and get 3 pieces of skittering. So maybe the skittering tail, the skittering shoulder, and the skittering gauntlets might be what you want as the other 3 pieces. I'm not seeing them here right now, so I can't tell you what they give, but there's a skittering tail here. You gotta find out what the other 2 would be doing. I think I've got them somewhere here. Let me check. Skittering gauntlets and skittering shoulder. No, I don't have them, so I can't tell you. But if you're using those 3 mounting king, maybe get those 3 skittering or wood beast. So you can get 2 pieces, 2 sets with the 3 pieces equipped. So let's talk about other stats you might want in your setup. Things like flat damage. Flat damage, any type of flat damage. Electric flat damage, poison flat damage, fire flat damage, all sorts of flat damage. It normally rolls on blue items in the chest piece and the hatch or legs, more like. So another thing that also rolls there would be percent poison, percent fire, percent ice, percent electric damage. This starts getting very strong around level 20 or 20 plus, especially if you're using a two-handed weapon. If you get percent of that type of damage, it's super nice. I haven't seen it drop on a legendary item, so I start to believe that starting to believe that it only drops on blue items, not on legendary. As I said, damage to barrage skills is good, but you might also consider getting damage to the other skills, to brawl skills, if you want to be doing more damage with Fracking Strike. Next, things like HP and defense, and preferably you would be doing the general defense versus soul, non-elemental one. It's good, but it gives you less numbers than the elemental, so consider this when deciding what defense to pick based on the act you're doing. Relic active skill cooldown is great, crit hit chance is great, crit hit damage is great, but the cap is 300, so keep that in mind. And gear work is amazing, but keep in mind gear work is not magic find, it's item find. So having 100% gear work, which is the limit, would mean you're gonna be finding more items, not better items. So when you kill an enemy, there's a chance for it to drop item. With more gear work, this chance is higher, so there's a higher chance of enemies dropping items in the first place, or dropping more items when they do drop an item. Then relic skill cooldown is also nice, and I would suggest stay away from steam dissipation unless you really want to be spamming shotgun more and fracking strike less. Chance to burn, as I said, is great, but you might want to consider combining chance to burn with maybe chance to poison, chance to shock, depending on what relic you're using, chance to bleed. Chance to stun, slow, bind shouldn't be that great for this build, so it's not a high priority, but it's still not a bad stat to have nevertheless. So there's things that reduce the hit cost of shotgun blast, you might want that as well, so consider this. And I think that's pretty much it when it comes to that. For the pet, I'm gonna suggest the one that allows you to barter, to get the pet to return 90% quicker when selling stuff. This ended up being slightly longer segment, so Apologies for that, hopefully all the info was helpful. Next, let's show you some more gameplay footage. And here we are at the segment where I show you a little bit more gameplay. I tell you about how I rotate some of my skills and how I play the build, and talk more about the build itself. As you can see, normally the way I do it is maybe start with Sonic Pulse. Then either the relic skill to trigger it once, the relic active skill I mean, and then start spamming shotgun blast. When needed, of course, vent heat. I try to keep my heat at least 75 when I vent or something like that, but it's up to you when you would be venting. If you want, spam fracking strike as soon as it's ready. If you want, don't. A ramming robot is good to get out of danger, and when you feel like you need that extra defense and healing, use power projection. Overall, you would ideally be burning with your cannon, so you don't need to rely on fracking strike like I do, or ramming robot like I do, or the relic skill to burn the enemies, because your cannon doesn't burn. So ideally you would have a cannon with chance to burn, and maybe even have your main weapon or main weapon plus offhand, if you're using that combo, to be burning the enemies. You might be noticing in the footage that you're seeing that I'm not burning the enemies enough, even though I'm trying to use fracking strike as soon as I can. But ideally, with that 50% damage to burning enemies, it would be a nice synergy, especially when your cannon applies the burn rather than your main weapon. On boss fights, it's not bad to play this build, so I've got kind of average gear, but I'm still happy with the speed of how quick I'm killing enemies. Yeah, I'm not one-shotting them, it's not like a mage or a sharpshooter that can burst them within seconds, but that was still under a minute, maybe like half a minute or 40 seconds of a kill. And this is with me actually taking my time dodging rather than focusing on the damage. If you wanna get notified for more content about this game or others like it, or various different types of RPGs, say RPGs, tactical RPGs, all sorts of RPGs, or other types of wooters, you could subscribe to my channel, get that bell button clicked to not miss those notifications. Thanks again for watching the video, folks. Keep it cool, and until next time, goodbye.